and welcome to Wires from the Deep, a Silo Series podcast. Today is Sunday, July 2nd, 2023, and you're listening to episode 13, The Hugh Will Surface. I'm your host, Crystal, here with my co-host, Kelly.
Hey, everyone.
So joining us once more is the author of the book Silo is based on and newly elected president of the Juliet Nichols fan club, Hugh Howey.
Hey, I didn't know I was president.
Congratulations.
Well, after your cameo, So, how does it feel to have the whole season out there now?
It feels great. Now I can not hear from people who are complaining they can't binge it. So we've had the fun 2 months of people who enjoy weekly releases, and now the bingers can jump in.
It must have been really hard to keep your mouth shut about everything too.
Yeah, but now it's like I'm watching season 2 dailies, and I can't tell anybody about that. So there's always secrets to keep. It's torture.
So, what was originally like 10 years ago going to be a movie? Like now that you've seen the season is like final form, are you happier it worked out this way as a show instead of a movie?
Yeah, I'm thrilled because films have a few months in the cinema, and if they're lucky, and now we just had 2 months of like every Friday being a big event, and now we have like a year to wait. Then we get a whole nother season, and if we're lucky, we get a couple more seasons. So this is like just the gift that keeps on giving. We have years of living in this world, and we got like 8 hours of screen time instead of 2 if we were lucky. So, but if a film would have been made with Ridley Scott and 20th Century Fox, I would have loved that too. I'm not going to complain. Really fortunate that these books have had so much success and that they get to enjoy being adapted at all.
We were talking yesterday about how much more success book adaptations seem to have when you do sort of make them into a series and spread them over, 8 or 10 episodes instead of trying to condense everything into, a book, a movie-sized 2-hour translation. And how do you feel about that? Do you think that's true? I mean, it gives you so much more time to like dive into the world and go into things further. And
yeah, so I have a good friend, Josh Mallerman, who had his book Bird Box turned into a big film, and his book sales, exploded from that adaptation, and kept selling well for a long time. So, but I can't imagine anything being better for book sales than what's happening right now. Just the amount of marketing that Apple has put into this. All 3 print books are right now in the top 50 on the Amazon bookstore, over 10 years after release. That's insane.
I will tell you, I tried to get wool at the library, and there are 62 people ahead of me.
Oh my God.
I'm not joking. At the Washington County,
I love these
62 people.
That's amazing. Like, good for them that they do that instead of just I'm going to pirate it, Yeah, it's insane. And it'll happen again when the second season comes out. And if we get more seasons, it's just crazy to get this kind of a boost on something you worked on so long ago.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about like once the movie comes out, it just has like a period where it just tapers off.
Yeah, we're
But
done.
and I'm actually kind of having a hard time imagining what it would be like as just 2 hours after watching the show over the course of 9 weeks.
It would be a completely different story.
Because I watched Ender's Game last night with my son for the first time since I think the DVD release, and so I watched it almost like with a renewed perspective, and it just felt so truncated. I think it was hard for me to see that before when we were watching it, Kelly. But
we were having a good time.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see it get made at all, but TV wasn't in the place it was back then.
Yeah.
If I guarantee Ender's Game will get a TV adaptation.
If they can make Harry Potter over 5 years later, they can do Ender's Game at some point, right?
Yeah. So hopefully within our lifetime. But it's crazy how a lot of the Marvel stuff is like remakes. And Spider-Man's been done so many times. It's just wild to think that there'll probably be an Avengers film in 50 years.
So tell us what it was like the first time you stepped on set.
It was insane. Actually, I have video of it. I need to dig it out and upload it so people can see my reaction. The first time I visited, it was just like steel girders. You could see kind of the framework of the stairs and the landing. And then the next time I came back, they had all this concrete poured, and a lot of it was finished. The amount of detail on that set, it's not just that it's huge. It's that the entire outer wall of the staircase is like all these completely dressed and painted apartments on 3 different levels.
Were they in
And
England? Is this in England?
yeah, it's north of London. And yeah, walking into, I, I think any mega fan of the books who's been like living in this world for 10 years would have the same reaction. But it's like walking into the theme park of your mind. This thing only exists in your brain, and then you're standing inside of it. It just doesn't make any sense.
I feel that way just like about like when you read a book and then you experience something like that. I can't imagine having like written it, like what that would be like.
Yeah, I mean, because me and Kelly, when we were on Ender's Game, we were just like, wow. And I can't imagine, yeah, if it was.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I feel almost like I'm a fan of these stories rather than the creator of them sometimes. Like they've gotten so much bigger than my concept of myself as a writer that I feel like a tourist. I don't feel like I'm in charge of this world for some reason.
So was the staircase like a separate structure, and then they had different sets for all the outside stuff, or was it like a whole thing?
I feel
Where
like
No, it's all
you could build like 2 staircases and then just keep turning them toward like whatever you're filming. You know?
It's all one big set. So the
oh
spiral
wow,
staircase is in the middle, and then because the landings are connected, you can walk on the ground floor, walk up some stairs, walk across a landing, walk a full circle, back on
oh
the stairs, up to another landing, and walk a full circle up there.
oh, that's
Wow.
that's actually wow.
Yeah, it's enormous. So for some of the, when Shay and I were just on set for season 2, we were standing up on the 3rd level on the rails because we were outside of the shot. We were watching, this like crazy action scene complete with a big cube of cardboard boxes because people are going over the rails, stunt people. And we're inside the silo up on the 3rd level, like looking down at the action while they're shooting. So the set's big enough that you could be like on the set while they're shooting and
Oh,
you're
that's
not
so fun.
in the shot.
Wow.
Funny story, we were over there and like I'm taking pictures and video, which is not allowed on set. And it's the head of security comes up to me and is like, who are you people?
Oh,
And
busted by judicial.
yeah, exactly. And they're like, because like, what department are we in? He didn't recognize us. And I was like, I'm the idiot who wrote the books. And yeah, he found out like I was an executive producer, and he was like, oh, okay. Because they just, I mean, we could have been, and the sets are big enough and there's enough people that we could have like been people who wandered off the street as reporters just getting, secret footage.
So you didn't have like a badge or something?
I had a badge, but it was hard to see
Oh.
and read. Like everyone there has a badge, but no one's supposed to be whipping out a cell phone.
Did you have your own chair?
I do have a chair, but like no one cares whose chair anyone's in. When you go on set, like there are a lot of chairs. So a lot of them have names on them, and everyone's sitting in everyone else's chair, which I think is awesome.
What about your cameo? Did you have any say in advance, like where they were going to put you, or did you know? Did you film that?
Yeah, we talked about like what the options were. They're like, "Do you want to come and do this or do that?" And I was like, I'd love to be a mechanic because I feel like they're the good guys. And, if we can do the Juliet's cleaning, that'd be really cool. And one of the reasons I wanted to do that is because the screen is an actual screen. And I knew we would get to sit there and watch her cleaning like while they were shooting it. And so I felt like, I was really there for her going out to clean.
Wow. So that actually looks like a really giant screen.
Yeah, it is. It's not a green screen. It's an actual monitor that's that big. It's crazy.
Yeah. I saw you answered on the AMA that they played the actual footage. So can you describe what it was like when you was that the first time you got to see that actual footage, or?
I'd seen the dailies of that footage because one of the very first things we shot, because it's the only thing that required like an outdoor set. So they went and like dug the hole on a field and shot that bit of the the very last thing that you see on the TV show is like the very first day of shooting. But it wasn't color graded. It just looked like a person in a field. And so it looked much better, when it was finished and on the screen. And they would keep playing it back. Like we watched her stumble on that hill, like, 20 times that day.
So I want to thank you for glaring at Knox because I have been mad at him for a while now.
This was very angry.
And then he made me even angrier when he turned Jules in,
Yeah, I was really pissed at him. Also, I really like him as an actor, so we were having a good time with each other that day.
Just glaring at the back
Originally,
of his head.
yeah, well, originally they didn't have sleeves on me, and I'd been like, staying pretty fit that summer, and the first time they did a shot, like he and I both have like no sleeves and like these big guns, and they came out after one take with a shirt. They're like, "Yeah, it's too much arm." And he looked over at me and he was like, "It's in my contract, man. Like only one set of guns out when I'm on the screen."
I understand.
So we're giving each other a hard
Maybe
time.
like flabby and mechanical though. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, too much sweating, too much hard work.
For real.
So tell us what it was like meeting Tim Robbins.
I loved Tim. We got to hang out a few different times during season one. We walked around set, and like what's cool about when he and I are hanging out, like we talk about anything other than like what we're working on professionally. He's a very smart guy with a huge range of interests. So you'll talk politics and social issues, and he's one of those people that prefers to like dive into deep topics and really get to know somebody rather than talk about the weather. But just very easy to get along with.
So he's not the type of actor who stays in character while he's on set, or are you talking about experience, like meeting with him like offset and stuff like
Yeah, both. But I don't think there were any method actors on set at all. Like people, it was really insane watching Rebecca do this because she had some really intense scenes. And as soon as they yelled cut, she's looking at like one of the sound guys and he's like, "What did you do this weekend?" And they're just chatting.
that?
And she's cracking people up and making jokes. And then they're like, "Action." And she's like, back at
Back
it.
in.
And honestly, it just seems more, it does several things that I think are more productive than hearing these terrible method acting stories that you hear about some sets. It keeps the vibes really light and happy. These are really long days and it keeps everybody's energy up. But it also, I think it also keeps her from being drained. Like you're putting all this emotion into a scene, having to do that when you're not on camera, not getting a take seems like a waste of energy. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think method acting is just an excuse for some people to be like jerks to other
Intense.
people. If you're a good actor, why
Intense and
can't you?
dramatic.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Leonardo DiCaprio got an Academy Award basically for eating raw liver, and I'm like, that's not acting. If you put a camera on me and have me eating raw liver, I'm gonna retch too. Like that's
Same.
just someone eating raw liver. Like an actor would be able to eat like caviar and make you think it's the worst thing they've ever had.
Sorry, Leo.
I mean, I love Leo. He's a great actor, but he didn't need to eat raw liver. If you're an actor, man, like show us your chops.
I'm with you. I think he just went without an Oscar for so long that people were just, they would give it to him for anything. He could like read the phone book.
Or what was his last one? Was it Gilbert Grape?
This is his first one.
Not his
That
first
was,
one. Maybe was it Wall Street? Did he win for Wall Street? I can't remember.
no.
No, he's so prolific. What was he in recently? I don't know. I love Leo. I was in a cooking class with him once. He's a lot taller
Oh
than
my
you think.
god.
I always think all
he's a
actors
tall
must
guy.
be very short. And I think I'm just thinking of the Scientologist. What's his name?
L. Ron Hubbard.
Tom
No,
Cruise.
Tom
She's
Cruise.
thinking of
Oh, Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
Really short.
I think I said authors.
Oh, sorry, no. Actors.
Yeah, a lot of actors are very short.
Mhm.
Actually, David Oyelowo, who plays Holston, was so much shorter than I thought he'd be. He looks so imposing on screen.
I'm 5'2", so I always like that in people.
Oh, we're the same height.
Yeah, my wife's tall. She's a little taller than I am.
Really?
She loves talking down to me.
So how tall is she compared to Tim Robbins? Because he's like 6'5" or something, right?
Well, yeah, she's shorter than he is. She and I are both about 5'10". He's a very tall guy, which worked really well in the TV show. A lot of readers were like, Bernard's supposed to be like this short guy. Can't remember there's that guy from Billions that everyone thinks should have played him, but
Like an all-star casting now.
it works much better as a big guy because he's like this gentle giant until he turns on her, and then there's not this feeling that she could overpower him. Anytime they're in a room together, there's this feeling like he's dangerous,
He's just physically imposing, yeah.
physically imposing. Yeah, I think it works really well.
And I noticed that his mayor's necklace is a lot bigger than the one on John's. So I'm guessing it has to do with how big he is.
Yeah, I feel like that necklace wasn't designed that great. Especially there are some scenes where he has to run. I think especially in season 2, and it's just
Jangly,
yeah, very jangly.
unwieldy.
Pounds.
It's unwieldy. Also, I don't think this is true, but someone was like, "There's 18."
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Someone
I tried
said
to
it.
count them. I was like, and they were like,
I didn't see that either.
whoever's.
And I was like, "There's no view of the back, so how do you know how many are in the back?"
Yeah, I
It's like a
didn't
rosary.
buy that.
So cameos for next season. Are you going to try to sneak back in?
I don't know if I'll get back in time. I'm pretty busy for the next couple of months, and I think they'll
They'll
wrap
be
before
done.
too long. No, I'd love to. Actually, I'd rather get my wife Shay a cameo because
That would be cool.
yeah, she's the one who should be on screen. I belong on podcasts and radio.
So where would she want to be? Because you wanted to be a mechanic. Where does she want to be?
I haven't asked her, but I think she'd also want to be a mechanic. I mean,
She's also like 5'10", and she could do it.
yeah. I would give
She
her
could have
like
her
a
guns
She would
out.
be.
Nobody could
I mean,
complain.
I feel like she should be in like the next Conan movie. She's just like she's such a badass. She's got this goddess energy, but also she's just physically so powerful and got such a presence. Give her like a really long spear and let her, be Conan's sidekick.
Amazon warrior.
No, Xena Warrior Princess. I'm totally on
Oh
board.
yeah,
They need to redo
yeah.
this. That was like my childhood lesbian show when I was 12. That was like my How I Knew show. Let's get that back on air.
I love that show.
Me
Actually,
too.
I was on tour with her in Australia.
You were not.
Yeah, it was a real fun
Lucy
group.
Lawless?
Yeah, and
What?
also I'm so bad with names. Who is Knight Rider in Baywatch?
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff.
Right?
He was part of our entourage, and the guy
Oh
who
my
played
god.
Flash Gordon back in the day, like the old school Flash Gordon, who became my like gym buddy while we were spending a couple weeks touring around Australia. It's a fun group.
Sorry, I'm still stuck on Lucy Lawless.
That's some goddess energy. Jeez.
I can't believe that you two were married by Jamie Lee Curtis. I was freaking out when I saw that picture on your blog.
That's a good one.
There's 5 other couples who've done. It's not like it's that unusual. She's going around marrying everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, I love her. She's amazing.
That wedding was crazy. Actually, so Jewel sang at our wedding, and she doesn't sing at weddings.
Oh my god. What is your life?
It's so weird.
Oh. Okay, so we have a bit of a silly question next. This is from a Discord member today. They want to know, how does the silo never run out of toilet paper? Do they use bidets or seashells or something else?
They use the 3 shells.
Ew. I was wondering about the septic situation. Please enlighten us.
Hey, have you seen the theory about, speaking about the 3 shells, have you seen the theory that no one knows how the 3 shells work?
No.
I saw something about how it
It's
was
so
explained
good.
once.
If you watch people's reaction to it, the idea is that everyone is pretending like they're like no one knows how it works, but everyone's pretending that they know how it works because they're too embarrassed to ask. And people's facial reactions actually fit with this theory throughout the whole movie. It's really good. We're talking about Demolition Man for all you youngsters.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta go watch that movie.
I kind of want to watch it again now that we're talking about this.
I'm sorry, Kelly, I cut you off. What were you asking?
No. I don't even remember. It's totally fine.
I'm stuck on the 3 shells now.
I know. So props and costumes that you contemplated taking or took or considered. Is there anything you just like really like to have from the set?
You want me to admit to things I stole from the
No,
set? Things I
it
contemplated
is
stealing?
completely up to you what you admit to.
I took a sheriff's badge. There was a bunch of 3D printed plastic sheriff's badges.
Do they open doors and locks?
Yeah, they do actually. You just wave
put
it
it right
in front of
in.
people's keyholes. And
So is it a generic one, or does it have truth scratched on the back?
It's a good question. It's generic, but I'm going to scratch truth on the back.
Ah.
There are some metal ones that are incredible. There's a warehouse full of props just for the show. Like, it's massive. And we were walking around it just daydreaming about all the stuff that we wanted to take out of there. There's copies of the pack laying around.
I really want one of those pictures that they drew of John's. Those were really cute. This will all be up on like prop auction in 5-10 years or something.
Well, the people who work on the show are going to raid the heck out of that warehouse after the final season. They're admitting to me. Everybody already has like their names on stuff.
So that's how those eBay auctions start coming up later.
Exactly.
So we've seen you with the Ducky Pez. Is that one that you bought yourself, or is that one that, because like the one on the show, actually, where's, so Angela sent me one and I have my own, but mine has the word Pez on the side, but the one on the show doesn't. So do you
It,
know if they made those
my
and
guess
like
is that
scratch it
Like
off?
sand it off.
they
It's probably
filled it
like
in
an
or,
ad.
or scraped it off. Yeah, because they probably couldn't get away with having the word on it.
Hmm. Plus, it's got made in China on it.
A lot
Yeah.
of other stuff.
That would be really bad for people in the silo, right? So you mentioned the pact. So is that an actual paperback with like it's full of like text that did people write all of these
Yeah.
things for the
Yeah.
show?
Pippa Broadhurst, one of the lead designers who did a lot of the signage and a lot of that logo work, a lot of the fun stuff on the show, they were like, make a pact. And they thought she was going to like Ipsum, you
Mm.
know, and just have a couple of pages. And she went home and basically wrote the next constitution.
Nice.
Like there is so much detail in there. I feel like you could operate a silo with that book.
It's funny because she came on Discord and she saw us picking apart all the high-res screenshots and like typing out all the text, and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad I actually wrote something for this."
Yeah, exactly. But that's what's so crazy about the show is everyone in every department went way overboard. Like no one had to be doing as much detail work as they were doing. And the culmination of all that is just a bunch of people pouring, their souls into this, to the set and to the costumes and everything. And like, I'm so proud of the show for a lot of reasons, but I think the production, people really deserve some recognition. And I don't dream of getting like nominations for awards, though I know there'll be a push for that. But I think the production people definitely deserve some awards for how much. If the judges saw what went into the show, guaranteed it would win for some kind of set design.
She must have been working really hard. There were posters all over the silo, right? We saw a lot of
And
posters in the
so
background.
and so many that didn't get used. It was one of my favorite things walking in her office because it's like propaganda. There's like you walk in
Mm.
her office and all these, the whole walls are just covered in like one's like don't be a drip and it's got a faucet, dripping. And what's great because it was filmed outside of London, a lot of this is like kind of childhood Cold War stuff and then the old historical World War II stuff. Like the be calm, carry on. Like there's that vibe with a lot of the posters,
Mm.
and it definitely has like this old British and kind of influence on it.
So in the book, and I don't know how much of this is like weirdly spoilery, but in the book you find out, well, at least like in the short story, the way that it was originally published, you learn fairly quickly, sort of like what Holston sees in his helmet, and it was kept a secret so long on the show. Some people put some things together, but was that a decision that you guys made early on?
Yeah, the reason it's spoiled in the short story is because that was the whole story for a
Yeah,
while. And when I turned it into a novel, I didn't want to go back and try to rewrite
right.
that. And I actually think it works well to spoil that early. I think we could have done that in the show because I think a lot of viewers got a little distracted with like
Yeah.
answering that mystery,
Yeah.
and they were like angry that every episode didn't answer that. And to me, it's like one of the least interesting mysteries of the show. Like there's so much more interesting, like what's outside, but kind of consumed a lot of viewers. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of book readers weren't so caught up in that. They were like, look, we're worried about who's going to die next. And you're worried about
Yeah.
like what the weather's like. Like, forget the weather. Like people getting thrown over the rails here. How are you going to stop the bad guys?
Yeah, that was really surprising for me to see the reaction because I guess, yeah, like you said, just the fact that that is not answered in the show right in the first two episodes. And I just kept thinking, why are you complaining about learning about other people? The people are what matter, right? I mean, the characters are the people you care about, right? So,
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
interesting for
yeah.
Well,
me having only read the short story because I knew what I knew, and then like the first two episodes sort of cover all that, and then it heads off like in this completely different direction that I didn't even know existed before. So
I think what it shows is that it's a very vocal minority that want the wrong thing out of a show, because the show did really well. Like it's when I last time I checked, it was still number one on all of Apple. It's like their biggest drama they've ever had, and they've tried to have other shows break out like this, you know, and they've had huge properties. Foundation has way more fans than the Silo books. But if what Crystal and I are both saying is that like the people are what's interesting. And by focusing on that, Apple made a show that had really broad reach and got a lot of people to tune in. And if they would have made a show that would have made the like Lost fanatics kind of happy, they would have had a show that made them happy, but didn't do as well, I think. So
Well,
I'd rather upset
I think you're
the
probably right.
like I'd rather upset the kind of like what's the big mystery people than upset the like there's no one interesting in this story people.
yeah, because I mean, like you mentioned Lost. To me, there were two types of Lost fans: the people who just were so invested in the people, and then the people who were just so invested in the island, right? And the people who were invested in the island were the people who were all pissed off at the end. But then people
Yeah.
like me, who were really just attached to the people and the stories, I love the ending of Lost. It's perfect for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the reason Lost was such a huge hit is they nailed both of those things. Like they had great mystery and amazing characters, and they
Yeah.
had characters that we have never really seen on TV before. Like Locke and Hurley
Hmm.
were completely unique characters, and I think that was like such a draw. And I think this show has like we're used to it because we read the books, but like Walker is such a unique character and really stands out. And I think those kinds of people really hooked a lot of viewers.
Yeah, because I recently rewatched the first season of Lost, and I was just like, I hadn't watched this show in a really long time, but it's really clear that it's character based, right?
Character
So
based for sure.
yeah, so I felt the same way about Silo. You know, it's like we want to learn about these people and what drives them. And to me, that I really liked how they fleshed out Juliet's motivations. It was a little different than in the book in that she was so driven by her relationship with George and like trying to figure out what happened to him, right? Because she cared so much. And then I loved the expansion they did with her and her dad.
That was so good. And the payoff with George and the video was so powerful. Like, I think people were wondering how this was going to pay off her obsession with George, and they didn't realize she was going to have this, the confrontation with another one of his exes. And then not just the video with him, but realizing that her mom was very similar to George. These two people that were taken from her both had a very similar mission. But the scenes with her and her dad, oh my gosh, they destroy me. They're so powerful.
And they released that one on Father's Day weekend.
I know, wasn't that perfect?
It was-
Yeah, that was a happy coincidence.
But you mentioned George's video, and when I watched the finale the first time, when Bernard says, "I can do better than tell you," I was like, "Oh no, he's gonna show her," and I was just dreading that when they went back upstairs, and when they finally showed it, and she's just like
it is rough. Yeah.
shaking, right? Yeah, that was hard.
I loved Bernard's whole demeanor in the 10th episode. I thought was so fascinating. Just he was so in control of every scene that he was in with Juliet. You know, like uncuff her, and he's going to walk her in. You know, to the janitor's closet, knowing there's really nothing she can do. And the conversation before she went out to clean was so powerful. The only thing that I would have written in that I wish we could have had, and I think I proposed this, was I thought Juliet needed a scene with Lucas in while she was in the jail cell, but it was difficult to figure out how to pull that off with him being in the kind of trouble that he was in.
Yeah.
So
Though I
you say
think
that, and we were talking about like why was that one scene of Lucas, in for people who haven't read the books and you have no idea what's going on. Like I felt like the only reason that one scene was included was to imply that we were going to be seeing him next season. Like probably wasn't just going to go spend 10 years in their
10 years
minds
in
and we
mines.
never see him again. So yeah, maybe another scene would have been better
yeah,
that
I
way.
just I felt like the connection, but I mean I know how we're solving it, so I can answer my own question, but
As
it's all
long as it's
spoilery.
solved.
Oh yeah, It's good stuff, man. I wish I could tell you about the dailies, but the stuff that they've shot for season 2 is so good.
So, can you clear up this one thing? Because I see this all the time. People don't understand why people clean. So many people are so convinced that they go outside and they think if they wipe the camera, the green will appear that they see. And
Nobody thinks that. No cleaner has ever thought that.
yeah,
Nope,
and
like people online
because
think that.
yeah, people online think that, but it doesn't make sense to me, Kelly, because they've spent their whole lives watching
Watching
cleaners
people
go
clean.
outside and clean, and it doesn't turn green.
It doesn't
They
turn
just rub a
green,
little harder, the sepia
but it
tone
gets a
comes out.
lot better.
Yeah.
The view is so much better. And for people who want everyone to see that the outside's a beautiful place, like leaving it covered in grime doesn't move them towards that ideal. So it's not going to show them what's there, but it's the motivation to show them that the world is better than they think it is.
Okay, so there's been a lot of debate about the end of the season, like the ending shots. But there's just one small bit that is really confusing for me, and I don't know if how much you can say and if it happened during the editing process. But was Bernard supposed to leave after he figured out Jules knew the helmet display was a lie? Because that's when he leaves. But I thought that the more important thing for him to learn was that her suit worked.
That she wasn't
No,
dead.
doesn't he leave when he realizes she's not going to clean?
No,
She
he
puts the
says,
badge down.
yeah,
We we
he leaves after she doesn't clean and she
yeah,
goes and trips.
after she
Yeah,
drops the wool.
but he
So
doesn't leave when after seeing her stand back up. He sees her.
that's not the important thing to him.
Okay, okay,
If you've read the books, you remember there's something in not the pack, but there's a different book, and there's something in it that tells you what to do if someone doesn't clean. And it's the worst thing imaginable. The way the system is set up is everyone cleans, and if someone doesn't clean, there's a problem, and that's that's why it needs to be clear that he leaves not because she gets
okay,
over the hill
okay.
and not
Mhm.
because her suit doesn't work. It's because she refused to clean. You can't have people seeing that. It's an act of disobedience in front of. It has nothing to do with Juliet. It's people are seeing someone do the impossible, which
Okay.
is not clean.
So he
And
leaves on the assumption that he just thinks she's gonna die even if he leaves, so he doesn't need to see the rest, kind of thing.
yeah,
Okay.
he'll have to find that out later.
Okay. I really liked that he rushed to the server one. I wasn't sure that was going to get shown, but I love that it came in right at the last in the last few minutes.
Yeah,
Season 2, how long do we have to wait for that? Do you have any idea? You said it's almost done
I
filming?
don't.
That's all right.
But I think it can't be more than a year and a half. I think it'll be about a year because they've shot so much. I'm trying to remember when we wrapped. Well, you know what? We wrapped season 1 in June of last year, so it took less than a year to do all the posts and get it out. I think we'll probably be able to release in by the spring of next year.
I'm really glad to hear that they're almost done filming. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess they're like 60%.
Wow. Okay. So do you have any idea of where we might get casting news for season 2? Because I know book readers are really looking forward to hearing about specific characters.
Yeah, so and I'll tell you, like we nailed that casting, but it's not a big name, so it's not going to be like, oh my God, that's so cool that Brad Pitt's growing a beard to play this guy.
That would thrill me.
Yeah,
That's okay. People still want to look at pictures and headshots and analyze everything. It's going to be a long wait. So what else are
I
we going to do?
know. Right now, I mean, Apple is so smart about when they announce stuff. They just really have figured out like when to keep things close and when to release things. And right now, they're just riding high on the finale. It's Sunday. It's only been out like 2 days. So I imagine then I can have to start, releasing stuff for 6 months or so, and then they can start building up the hype for season 2. I can't wait to see the trailer for season 2. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, why is the duck pez illegal?
Why is the pet dispenser illegal? Well,
Yeah.
what the heck is a duck?
Yeah, it's the duck.
There's no such thing as ducks. Yeah, just questions about, like who made this thing. Like it's clear what was made in the silo. There's a whole bunch of everything. Like everyone's got very standard stuff, and relics are these kind of one-off things, and this is like a collective. Look at the logo. It's all like all these people who are equidistant from the center, and having like the only one of something is a problem. Well, where'd you get that? Who made it? Who did it belong to? Who are you going to give it to? It's not how it's supposed to be in the silo.
How many Pez dispensers do you think Sims has in that closet?
One.
No, I have this whole theory.
We know the truth. It's his Pez collection.
Yeah, nothing but Pez in there.
We're very anti-Sims on this show, by the way.
But why? I think he's.
I don't even know. It started out as this running joke that
I love him.
We don't hate him.
It's not clear to me that he's even a bad guy. Like,
well, that's what I mean. He's like the worst bad guy ever if he is a bad guy. Because I always feel like he's one like he's. We call him Slowpoke Sims. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we call him Slowpoke Sims. He doesn't run very fast. I think it's edited. He's like edited poorly.
The editing.
He just seems to take forever to he's like running up three levels to save his family, and yet I don't know. He takes forever to get there.
Yeah, he's not as fast as Holston. Holston could book.
Yeah, although he does shove people.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, I wonder how many times he had to shove that guy.
Yeah, I feel bad for the stunt people. They have to just do so many takes.
So the screen glitch, whenever they had to restart the power for the generator, and the screen came back on, and we saw like the blue and green sky for a second. Tell us about that. Was that like intentional? Were they setting something up for later, like for season 2? There was just a lot of talk about that for a long time.
Yeah, I had an answer to that in the AMA that I thought was quite good, if I do say so myself.
Let's hear it.
The idea was just to give a little delight for viewers. And when I envisioned it, when we pitched this, I thought it was just going to be like a flicker, a couple of frames. I think it was on too long. We should have trusted the pausers and the astute viewers. I also don't think it should have been the Carmody cleaning. It should have just been a generic blue sky, green fields, even look exactly like what's out there, but different. But the only way I can think that would be even piped into that system is that there was some cleaner or some hacker in the past who found the video and was trying to do what Juliet did. They were trying to display it on the wall screens for everyone to see. And something about their program didn't work, or they were stopped, or it was a bug that was planted just for like some future event. And the generator being cycled, triggered this like piece of malware that was planted by someone in the past. That's the best, and I just came up with it today to show people that if you think there's a plot hole, use your imagination and come up with a reason that it makes sense.
I like that. Instead
of just if something doesn't make sense to you, saying well, that's a plot hole, do something better with your time.
If there's a plot hole, fill it, right?
Yeah, if there's a plot hole, fill it. You can. As a writer, I know I can write myself out of any situation. So work on it. do some of your own heavy lifting.
I like that.
Speaking of plot holes, one of the most aggravating things for me was after 3 episodes, people were like, "Here's my list of plot holes," and I'm like, "Excuse me,
boring.
We're 3 episodes in of a 10 episode show. Maybe you just haven't been shown it yet."
Yeah, what's great to me are when people list the plot holes, and I'm like, that is integral to the plot. That is that's what the entire show is about. Every time someone's like, "Where are the elevators?" I'm like, exactly.
Where are the elevators?
They're in the column in the staircase.
They're not there for a reason.
All right. So if you were told you had to leave now to move into the silo, and you could only choose one episode to download before leaving, which episode would you choose?
Which episode of the show would I take with me if I was living in the silo?
If you were being told that you're leaving right now to move into the silo, obviously your phone would be a relic.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. I had so many weeks where after the episode, I was like, that's the best one yet.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah. I'm kind of partial to episode 2 because it's the piece that's missing from the book where Holston and Alice and Juliet work together. There's a
Mm.
lot of great characters still alive and around in that episode. I feel like if I took anything later than that, I wouldn't be able to tune in and spend time with Johns or Marnes or
Same.
Holston. So episode 2 and episode 1 is incredible. I think it's like one of the best pilots maybe ever made because the cast was incredible. We had Morton at the helm, but we don't have much of Rebecca in it. So I think 2 or 10, but I think I'd be annoyed at seeing my cameo too many times.
Maybe your wife would like it though. Maybe you should choose that episode. You guys would have to fight over which episode.
She'd have me. She gets the real thing.
That's true.
Without the gray shock. That little gray shock they put in my hair was hilarious.
Oh, they added that in?
We thought
Oh,
that
it's
was
like
just your
fake.
hair.
It's like a piece of hair. Like it's like a little, like a little patch of hair that they glued
Were they
in.
trying to disguise you?
No, I think it's just like there's 2 different people working on me, and they're just having a good time. Like, what else can we do? They covered my arm in tattoos, and then I ended up wearing long sleeves.
It's
They,
very stressful working in mechanical, right?
yeah, I say, and they had a big scar on my neck. I had a whole
Oh,
story
wow.
about what happened to me.
Wow. Yeah, so actually that brings me back to that. They never go into Juliet's scar. Is that something that got cut, or is that something that comes back later, or
I don't know if
Mechanical's hard.
I can't remember if that's something we cover later, so I won't comment.
Okay, so this last question, it's because so my 17-year-old son, when he was 5, he was in an iPad commercial, and the number one question people would ask me is, "Did you get a free iPad?" And I was like, "No." So, do you get free Apple TV?
No, I pay for all that. Um, I I have a feeling if I asked for anything, they'd be annoyed with me. I would lose all kinds of cachet, and
At
they'd
this
probably
point, I'm not
do
really
it.
sure.
But I mean, I am surprised when they see me walking around set with an Android that no one wants to like correct that. I did get a nice birthday present from them last week, and I thought that was really sweet. So
What did they
they,
send you?
they don't have to do anything for me. They made an amazing season of TV based
Oh,
on one of my books. I'm in their debt forever.
that's sweet of you. They're gonna like that.
I can't believe you have a 15-year-old child. That's 17, right?
Well, my oldest is 19, actually.
That's incredible.
Okay, I mean, that was all our questions. Do you have anything
Yeah,
else,
no, I
Glen?
think this is good.
Oh,
This is a good. Oh,
actually, I have one more thing.
of
I'm
course.
very embarrassed about this, but we had you play Pop Quiz Jerkface. One of my answers was wrong.
This should be embarrassing for you.
Yeah, it was the Hush Puppies one. I was going back to
Oh.
go look at something else, and I was like,
Did
"Oh
he
my
get it
God."
right though? And we told him it was wrong.
No, there was no answer. So I have a makeup question if you're up for it.
There was they don't say in the show how many
Okay,
there were?
okay. So what it was he says a tin of Hush Puppies, and I thought he said a dozen. So I
A
misheard.
10
Yes.
of hush puppies.
So yeah, very
So he
embarrassing
eats
for me.
all but one, I guess is the answer.
But I mean, to be fair, when Jules has her tin of Hush Puppies in her jail cell, it does look like a dozen. So, but yeah, I have one makeup question if you want to do it.
Oh, fine. I'll be a jerk face twice.
How many years did Sims's wife work as a raider?
Oh my God, 7.
No, it was
I have
12.
no idea. 12? Ah,
dozen.
same answer. That's mean.
It was
I
a
should
little
have come up
mean.
and I was like, oh my God, I should do this one because it's 12.
That's amazing.
All right. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It was really fun chatting with you.
My pleasure. You might want to hit
thanks.
record.
Yeah, record, 'cause that would have.
It says
I was
it's
thinking,
recording.
like, at least it wasn't like this episode.
Yeah.
And it was worse because it was an hour and 40. I would have recorded over again. with
It
them.
was so long.
We're going to record in about 5 minutes with them
right.
also again.
I'll
We had Peter and Angela and Will Swartsham. So
Oh, sweet. I love
Peter
this guy.
Peter Cauldron. Sorry, yeah, I didn't see his
Yeah,
last
he's
name.
amazing. All right. Well, tell them all I said hello.
Thanks for coming on and congratulations. And I look forward
Yeah.
to
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
so
you so much.
All right.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed our interview with Hugh, but just a quick note that a portion of this podcast was edited out for spoilers. But if you're a book reader or you don't mind spoilers, head on over to YouTube and search for At the Down Deep, no spaces, and you'll be able to listen to the spoiler outtake. While there, please be sure to subscribe to us. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Wires from the Deep. If you're enjoying our podcast, tell other Silo fans that they can find us at wiresfromthedeep.com and leave us a review on your podcasting platform of choice. Join the Down Deep Discord by going to thedowndeep.net and following the invite link to join discussions with other fans. If you want to contact me and Kelly, you can leave a message on Podbean or on one of our YouTube videos, or you can email us at crystal@thedowndeep.net. And to all of our listeners in the US, happy Freedom Day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Wires from the Deep is brought to you by Pico's House. If you have a manuscript that you're looking to develop, fine-tune, or polish for self-publication or submission to agents and publishers, Pico's House offers comprehensive editorial services for fiction authors such as alpha and beta reading, developmental editing and manuscript critiques, line and copy editing, and proofreading and formatting. The team at Pico's House helps hundreds of authors each year and specializes in science fiction, fantasy, middle grade, and thrillers. To find out more, go to picoshouse.com, PIKKOSHOUSE.com. Please mention that you heard about Pico's House on Wires from the Deep.